Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Jamie Samuel reporting, and welcome to episode 9 of my Euro 2020 podcast, bringing you the latest updates on Euro 2020. Today, Robert Winstone, a fellow Holmesglen Bachelor of Sports Media student, joins me. Rob, how are you doing today?
Yeah, Jamie, I'm going well, mate. So I'm just chilling by a beach here in Croatia. Things are going well, and I'm looking forward to having a conversation today.
Excellent. Tell us a little bit about why you decided to study the sports media degree and what have you loved about it so far?
Good question, Jamie. I decided back in, I think it was June 2018, to study the Bachelor of Sports Media, basically because, number one, I love sport and I've always had a keen interest, I suppose, in the professional sporting world, and I've been driving trucks for 12 years previous to that. And I kind of just thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. I'm studying part-time. I've just completed my 12th subject, so I'm halfway through my degree currently. And it's just mainly because I love sport and I just want to dip my toes into that realm. And also the experiences that I've got out of that. I've run a local radio show called Licorice All Sports on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM. I did that for a couple of years. I've had experiences commentating local football at the Norwood Football Netball League and had other opportunities which I might not have had unless I had obviously not studied at Holmesglen. So it's been a really interesting 3.5 years, and put it this way, I'm enjoying the ride, and hopefully we can get to the professional ranks in the sports media world one day.
Excellent. I did appear on that radio station with you as a guest once, and that was fun. I understand you own your own media company called Winstone Sports Media. Can you tell us a little bit about your business and what you're trying to achieve with it?
Yeah, well, whether you want to call it a business or more of a passion, I suppose for me, I like to just put myself out there, and obviously in sports media, you need to do that to try and succeed. So it's just me putting myself out there, trying to liaise with professional athletes, trying to conduct interviews and just do my best to put my best foot forward to, get as professional as I can while making mistakes at the same time. Because if you don't make mistakes within this realm, you can never learn. So I've made a ton of mistakes in the last 3 years, but in saying that, I feel like I'm at a level now where I'm semi-professional, and it's getting easier all the time to not only produce. I've been doing a lot of video journalism pieces, which I've just recently done with Aussie Rules Footy in Croatia, but also written articles as well. So it's more of a passion, and it's just a brand name, just so people can identify who I am when I am writing, or if not in front of the camera, or if not doing a radio show.
Wonderful. So I understand you're on a holiday in Croatia at the moment. Where are you, and how's the trip going for you?
Yeah, I'm currently in Var in Croatia, which is approximately about 80 odd kilometres from Split. And I've been here for the last 9 weeks, and I'm absolutely loving it. The people are friendly. It's about 1/3 the cost of living compared to Australia. So obviously our Australian dollar goes a lot further over here. And yeah, it's just a warm, greeting, fun country to be in. And obviously it's the European summer as we speak. So, it's starting to warm up. Today's 32 degrees, and I'm just sitting by a beach here in Var, and no regrets about leaving Melbourne back on January the 14th.
Making us jealous all there, mate. So you've also been doing some cycling to raise funds for Beyond Blue. How's that all going for you as well?
Yeah, good question, Jamie. So while I've been over here, I did my knee on September the 20th last year. So to all the listeners out there, I unfortunately during COVID took up skateboarding again. I bought the Tony Hawk game, and I sort of got back into the skateboarding realm. What I used to do probably 15 or 20 years ago. Unfortunately, I tried a trick that I probably shouldn't have tried. I landed on a straight leg, popped my kneecap out, tore my ACL, PCL, and I spent a couple of weeks at the Royal Melbourne Hospital. But in saying that, it's sort of, as far down as I was out, because mentally when you are going through a hard time, it can be hard to see any light at the end of the tunnel. But obviously I'm starting to make a comeback from that, and a part of that is cycling. So I thought, how can I give something back while I am travelling over here? And Beyond Blues is an organisation which obviously helps people with anxiety, depression, and mental health. And the idea is obviously for I'm doing a lot of travel vlogs and also sporting videos on my YouTube channel and on all the socials, Instagram, Facebook. If people do like what I'm posting up and all the photos and the videos, please donate to that worthy organisation, in my opinion. And so far, we've raised 290 Australian dollars. A little bit slow going, but the aim is $2,000. I'm going to keep up the link open. So if anyone is interested, just check out Winstone Media on all your socials, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you got to spare $5 or even $1, it would make all the difference, and you'll be able to help people who may be experiencing a difficult time in life.
Wonderful. I think people would really admire what you're doing. So now we're going to delve into some of the latest action. Over the last day, we've seen some incredible results. Denmark have defied the odds from entering the final round with no points and sitting rock bottom to secure a massive 4-1 win over Russia, which, due to the other result of Belgium's 2-0 win over Finland, has elevated Denmark into second place on goal difference, meaning the Danes are through to the knockout stage for certain, showing incredible spirit and determination after dropping their 2 games to begin with to secure a knockout place with a massive win. It was Mikkel Damsgaard who opened the scoring for Denmark with a strike in the 38th minute, before in the second half, Josef Poulsen doubled Denmark's advantage on the hour mark. Russia pulled one back after a penalty from Arten Djurba in the 70th minute, but any hope was quickly diminished when Denmark added 2 goals in the space of 4 minutes from Andreas Christensen and Joachim Mahali. Denmark will face Wales in the last 16, while Russia's tournament dreams have been dashed and they will be on the plane home, finishing last in their group. Robert, what was your take on this stunning Danish performance, which elevates them into second?
Well, it's very interesting you say that, Jamie, because you're right. 4-1 is a significant victory, and especially what happened at the start of the tournament and with Eriksson. You know, those players would have been shell-shocked as to what we all witnessed live on television. So it's a remarkable story in itself, just in a sporting story, obviously in the Euros. And it just proves that they must be a very resilient group to obviously drop their first 2 games and then to be able to perform like that, albeit against a very, very disappointing Russian side who obviously, as you mentioned, finished at the bottom. But resilience is the key to Denmark, and as you say, they will face off in the round of 16, and I think, you know, maybe that self-belief will grow if they can somehow win the round of 16 match. Then, you know, the sky's the limits, and it's just amazing that that they were able to perform at such a high level, considering what happened at the start of the tournament in the first match.
Absolutely. Tell me your thoughts on Russia's effort at this year's tournament.
Well, I don't like to bag any player or sporting team, but let's be honest, it was disappointing. That's probably being kind, and I just think you know, they sent a pretty decent squad over. Probably who, you know, the Russian, you know, the national side, it's huge in Russia, and just like all the football nations, but they're so passionate over in Russia, and especially after hosting the World Cup in 2018 to perform the way they did in the Euros, they'd be going back home, I guess, probably feeling like they'd underachieved, and also there'll be a lot of disappointment from the Russian fans. So all in all, just disappointment from the Russian camp.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. And now that the Danes are through, can they get past Wales, and where to from if they can?
Well, I think they can get past Wales. I think if you look at the Welsh squad, I mean, the way they line up, you know, you've obviously got some, you know, Gareth Bale. He's a very handy goal scorer. And I think the way that the Danish structure up as well, I think if they can, you know, they proved it, even though they went down their first couple of games, they scored early in their second group match. I think if they can, you know, hold their defence and not allow the opposition to kind of break the lines and score early, I think they have every chance. I think it's going to be a low-scoring match. I think, you probably won't see any more than 1 or 2 goals in this. And who knows, it might go into overtime and if not penalties. But I think they can advance. And, I think in a general sense, as I mentioned before, the group would have a lot of resilience, especially after what happened in the first game. And, if they can get through the round of 16, well, I suppose their self-belief and confidence will grow from that point on.
Sounds reasonable. It will be certainly exciting times ahead for Danish football. Belgium have put a spanner in Finland's hope of reaching their first ever knockout stage. Their 2-0 victory relegated Finland into third position, and they will have to see how well other third-place teams finish before they know if they qualify from third or not. It was Thomas Vermaelen who opened the scoring for Belgium in the 73rd minute after his header rebounded off the post into the goalkeeper and then into the net, before Lukaku sealed the game in the 81st minute with a deadly strike. This result sees Belgium qualify with a 100% record at the top of Group B. Rob, do you feel Finland have missed an opportunity to make history, considering that a draw would have been sufficient enough to see them through and now they could have to rely on other teams?
To be honest, Jamie, I think Finland are just making up the numbers. I think if you look at Belgium's squad, they've got Lukaku. He's one of the main scorers in the Italy Serie A. And with a squad like that, Belgium were always going to go through. And the fact that they only went down 2-0 in the end probably was a good result, in all fairness to the finish. And as you say, other results they need to rely on. But I would say, probably with all due respect to them, I think they're just making up the numbers at Euro 2020, or we are 2021, but officially Euro 2020. So I just think, they're just outclassed by a better team on the day.
Sounds reasonable. It has also been a wonderful tournament from Belgium, winning all 3 games. How far do you think they will go in this year's finals?
Well, at the start of the tournament, I penciled in 4 teams. I thought Belgium, Germany, the French, and also I thought England as well. But obviously, Italy are the team to beat at the moment. Their last 30 matches, they have not been defeated. They've had a clean sheet, Italy. But I think Belgium, especially with Lukaku as the striker and the star up front, the way they structure up, they're not going to leak too many goals, Belgium. So, it's just going to come down to key moments and taking opportunity in key matches, especially as we, get into the second half of the tournament and some of these bigger teams will be starting to play each other. But I think Belgium can certainly win it. There's no doubt about that. Obviously, Italy are favoured at the moment, but I think Germany are the one to watch. But to answer your question, I think Belgium can definitely make the semis based on the squad and their form so far, considering what we're seeing in Euro 2020.
Yeah, it really is now or never for Belgium. They've got a golden generation. The Netherlands have also qualified with a 100% record after they took care of North Macedonia 3-0. Memphis Depay opened the scoring as early as the 23rd minute before Jorginho Wijnaldum's second half brace secured the Netherlands a perfect record of this year's tournament. They truly have been wonderful. Robert, is it Holland's time this year?
Well, you've got to remember, Jamie, that the Dutch, in previous years have always been up there. They've made semi-finals at World Cups. They're a really sound defensive side, but with a lot of scoring power up front. If you look at this particular game, the Netherlands, they only had 17 shots compared to North Macedonia's 13, but the shots on target, North Macedonia 1 shot on target and 7 to the Netherlands. So that's the difference in the end. 3 of those go in the back of the onion net, and it was a disappointing tournament for North Macedonia. But there's no reason, even a country like the Netherlands, it's European-style football. All their players are playing in the top leagues around Europe and also around the world. So there's no doubt that the Netherlands, if form can hold, they would be a certain chance to certainly push further into the tournament and certainly, I think, at least get past the quarterfinals, the round of 16.
Fair enough. What could North Macedonia take out of their first ever international tournament? Going home without a win or a draw, do you think they will have been grateful just to qualify?
Well, I think, North Macedonia, it's a proud nation. It's certainly not one of the nations that we would consider a strong footballing nation. But, I think the North Macedonians would just simply be proud of the fact that they qualified and represented their country, albeit they didn't perform very well. We got to understand that they struggle against these top sides. So I think it's just a pride thing, really, at the end of the day, Jamie, for North Macedonia. And they filled off one of their veterans, a 20-year veteran, which was good to see in that game against the Netherlands. They swapped jumpers, and the Netherlands actually gave him a jumper with his name on it. So I think it's more of a pride factor for North Macedonia, and hopefully they can build on this tournament in years to come.
Very true. Austria have claimed second spot in Group C after downing Ukraine 1-0. It was Christoph Barmagas's header in the 21st minute that proved the difference. Ukraine will have to hope they finish in the top 4 best third-place teams in order to qualify after their loss today. Rob, what did you make of Austria's performance today and over the group stage in general?
Well, Austria, they've performed consistently. I mean, to be honest, this game was a complete one-sided affair. If you look at the shots on target, 1 to the Ukraine, 4 to Austria, but shots in total 18 to 5 to Ukraine. So, look, Austria are always going to give sides trouble. They're probably in that sort of mid-ranked type of nation where they're not going to be the best, but you know that if you don't rock up, they can make you pay. So has their tournament been good? Yes, it has. And I believe the simple fact that they're most likely going to get through to the round of 16 is a fair effort from Austria.
Yes, very fair about that. And do you feel that Ukraine have been a bit of a disappointment after their spirited loss to the Netherlands in the opening game, and it will be disappointing for them if they do not progress considering the spirit they've shown this year?
Well, I think any time, any side goes into the Euros, they want to qualify. So, of course, they would be disappointed. However, if you look at their ranking, I'm not surprised. So, they, as I said before, with some of these, like North Macedonia, they're one of these sides that are there, but are they making up the numbers? Well, possibly. But, as you say, they're sitting third on the table at the moment, Netherlands and Austria out in front. And to be honest, they're going to need a huge performance in their last match. Their ranking is 41 at the moment. So, look, as I said, Jamie, probably making up the numbers in all due respect to them. But I think the fact that they made the Euros and they're representing their nation, that's a win for me as far as Ukraine are concerned.
Fair enough. So, in other news, some exciting upcoming matches include the Czech Republic meeting England at Wembley Stadium, with the sides currently sitting first and second in their group. England will start as favourites to win and get the top spot in the group, but both teams are in prime position to qualify. A draw would secure both sides a place in the top 2 regardless of the Croatia game. Robert, who wins this game for you and why?
Ooh, that's a very good question. Just by looking at their lineups, Jamie, which there's no certainty at the moment, but I think England will win this one, just based on what they did in Russia in 2018, and Czech Republic, good team, but I think if you look at the result, the draw with Scotland, England performed. Probably not at their best, but Scotland performed probably over the odds, if that makes sense. They probably overperformed. So I would say probably England will win this one, maybe 1-0.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you there. And do you believe that England really can go all the way in this year's tournament?
I think it'll be hard. But I think there'd be a chance. They'll definitely. I mean, if you look at look at some of their forwards, Jack Grealish, you've got Harry Kane, Raheem Sterling, Marcus Rashford. I mean, they've got some serious quality in their midfield, and also up front, Declan Rice, Jordan Henderson. So I think they could go all the way. It's just about self-belief and what happens towards the end of the tournament. I think, you can't look past Italy, Germany, and probably the Netherlands. And I think they could, but England's always found it hard to finish things off. So could they? Yes, they could, but will it be a far stretch? I think a couple of these other sides that I just mentioned will probably outdo them on the day. But you never know. You never know. England are a solid side.
Yeah, it's about time they got some success at a tournament. I mean, England fans are always feeling like close enough but not good enough, especially after what happened in Russia. Going out to Croatia was obviously a disappointment for them. Speaking of Croatia, they will take on Scotland at Hampden Park and look to secure their place in the last 16. And both sides are looking to get their first win at this year's tournament. It's fair to say that the runners-up of 2018, Croatia, haven't really played to their best. A loss to England and a surprise 1-1 draw with the Czech Republic means they simply must beat Scotland to have any chance of progression and must rely on the Czechs losing to England just to have a chance of finishing second. But they do start as the clear favourite. Rob, what's been your take on Croatia at this tournament so far? Is it fair to say they've been a bit below expectations?
Well, I think, in all honesty, I think they definitely have underperformed. And speaking to local fans here in Croatia, they are extremely disappointed with the way the side has performed. But I just think, when you've got a guy named by the name of Luka Modric, anything is possible. The 36-year-old is still at the top of his game, and probably, we speak of the Ronaldos and the Messis in the world game, but I think Modric is going to have to pull something out of the hat. And just interestingly, for this preview of Scotland v Croatia, it's funny to say that Croatia have never beaten Scotland in their 5 previous meetings. In fact, France, 8 games, and Portugal, 7 are the only teams the Croats have faced on more occasions without ever securing a victory. Another 5 matches between Croatia and Scotland have produced more than 2 goals. So it's fair to say Croatia hasn't got a good record against Scotland. So it's going to be interesting to see. But I think Croatia will be favoured in this game. I think they have got enough talent. But I suppose your final question, have they been disappointing? The simple answer is yes, Jamie.
Fair enough. And if they make it through, can they make it beyond the round of 16 this time after going out at that stage in 2016? And how far can they go if they do?
I think they can go past the round of 16. I think they would struggle to go past the round of 8, Jamie. So I think certainly a chance to... Who are they playing in the next round if they make it through?
If they make it through, bear with me a moment. Croatia are in... so who does from Group D play? Currently England sit there in second. If they made it through, they'd probably face, say, Sweden in Group E. I'm actually not too sure who they'd face. It's a bit hard to answer considering they haven't made it through yet anyway.
Okay, well, I think they could make the round of 16, but I think once you get to the round of 8, you're playing the real heavyweights of football. So based on their current performances, I haven't seen anything that would make me think they're going to go too far in this Euro 2020.
Fair enough. Rob, the last couple of questions I have, you've also been in Sweden recently. They currently sit top of Group C with Poland to come. You feel they will top the group with a win?
Yeah, certainly. I think they'll top the group. Sweden are an interesting side. Obviously, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, the 39-year-old, was potentially going to be a part of the Euro Cup squad, but it didn't end up happening. But I think they've been winning ugly, Sweden. They drew in their first game against Germany. They've won their past 2. And I think, they're not going to... They haven't... I think Sweden's biggest problem is that they're not very good at finishing. So they've been winning ugly, and they're sound defensively. They literally, against Germany, held off multiple opportunities and Germany were unable to score in the end. But I think Sweden will advance, finishing top of the group. But how far they can go, well, as I said, they win ugly. So they're good defensively, but yeah, I've got question marks. Maybe the round of 8 would sort of be the mark I could see Sweden going to.
All right, so that kind of answers my next question about how far you believe Sweden can go into the knockout stages. Because my next question was how far Sweden will go in after the group stages. So you believe Sweden are quality enough to make a quarterfinal?
Yeah, definitely, and especially with a young striker by the name of Alexander Isak. He scored in their last game over Slovakia. He put the ball in the back of the onion bag. So I think, they've got a young squad. There's a lot of unfamiliar names, but I think Sweden, they've always been a sound football nation. They could definitely pass around a 16, but round of 8, as I said, you start facing some of the heavyweights of football. So are they up to that standard? I don't think so, but you never know. You never know. They can always do the smash and grab Sweden. So you just never know in the big city.
Yeah, that is the beauty of football, ain't it? All right, well, that concludes episode of my Euro 2020 podcast, episode 9 of my Euro 2020 podcast, I should say. Robert, thanks so much for joining me today, and I look forward to having you on again on this podcast at some later point in the tournament, and enjoy your time in Croatia.
Thank you so much for having me on your podcast, Jamie. You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work, and I'm looking forward to listening to the final product.
Excellent. Remember, if you are keen to be a guest on this podcast, you can reach me on my email in the video description or via the LinkedIn profile in the description. And I look forward to bringing you more action of Euro 2020 in the next 24 hours.